Welcome to Andy's Metal Journey. On Rock Station.
So, John Corabi, welcome to the show. First thing, back with the Daisy. How does it feel?
You know, honestly, it's great. First thing, you know, a lot of people don't realize it. We've all known each other for 20 plus years.
Wow.
So it's just like hanging out with a bunch of my best friends. You know what I mean? But the other thing is, you know, my first go around with the Dead Daisies, I was in the band from 2015 to 2019.
You were the first singer for the Daisies?
No. There was somebody before me as well.
Okay.
A guy named John Stevens, who's from Australia.
Okay, I see.
But, you know, I was there for, 5 years, whatever. And, you know, everybody thinks there was an argument or a fight or, you know, something silly that, you know, I left the band. But it was really for personal reasons. Sure. Prior to me joining the band, I had a solo career. You know, I still do. I still have a solo career, but my son came from Los Angeles and moved to Nashville to be my drummer.
Wow, that's great.
In my solo band.
Oh, cool.
And I also, in August of 2014, right before I joined, I got married.
Oh, I see.
And it was shortly afterwards I joined the Daisies, and then things just started getting so crazy and hectic. You know, and about, a year or two into being with the Dead Daisies, you know, I have one ear, my son is yelling at me and he's saying, "You suck. You suck. I moved to Nashville to be in your band and now I don't even see you." And then my new wife, every time I came home from tour, would be standing in the doorway with a gun because she didn't recognize me. So I said, maybe I should take some time and spend it with my family for a little bit. You know, it's all good.
Yeah. And you got replaced by a legend. I mean, who can say the replacement guy that came in after I left the band was one of Deep Purple, the legend, you know, Glenn Hughes. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Don't think I didn't say that, because I would go out and I was doing solo shows, acoustic shows, and fans would be coming up to me like, "Hey, dude, did you hear the Dead Daisies got Glenn Hughes?" And I would just chuckle because I've known Glenn forever as well.
Okay, I see.
And I just said, well, you know, if you got to be replaced by somebody, why not somebody from Deep Purple in the Hall of Fame, you know?
So I heard you when you just rejoined the band. I think it was sometime last year. I heard that interview on Eddie Trunk where you just got back in the band. And you guys made a record since that's going to come out in September. Light 'Em Up. I think it's a great record. I like the songs. They're really fresh. The production is awesome. How did it come about? I guess you guys are spread out all over the world, basically, you know. Did you like send files back and forward, or did you clear your schedule and meet in the studio?
Yeah, no, we are, you know, obviously, even though we're recording in a new modern technology like Pro Tools, we still kind of do it in a very old school way. And that is, we put a bunch of ideas into a Dropbox folder.
Okay.
So everybody listens to the ideas. And then everybody flew here to Nashville to work again with Marty Fredrickson.
Yeah.
And we just went into the studio and we do it the old school way. We sit in a room together. Everybody's got their instrument.
Cool.
And we just start bashing out these ideas and jamming and adding things and taking things away. And we kind of develop the songs, you know, for lack of a better term, till we've got a map.
Okay, I see.
And then Marty says, "Okay, I think it's good. And then what we do is in the room together, we all lay down the track maybe 3 or 4 times, 5 times.
Yeah.
We do maybe 5 takes. And then Marty uses whatever he feels is the best take. Yeah. And then we start layering vocals, guitar solos, all that stuff. But we're all in the room together. We're all bouncing ideas off of each other and kind of, you know, in that old school manner, feeding off of each other's energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Axel, and you can hear it on the record. You know, it really sounds tight and just like a band playing. Although it says on the website, and always been said that Dead Daisies are these musicians collective and stuff. It doesn't sound like that. It really sounds like a band. And you guys got a couple of years and a couple of records under your belt. So
yeah, you know, but I think too, you know, it's really weird not to. You know, I think ultimately David Lowy, who started the band, he would have loved nothing more than to have whatever. He would have loved to add one lineup through the whole thing.
Who doesn't?
But a lot of people, you know, if you go back and you look at the history of the core band, I think he knew, you know, because he started with, there was another singer named John Stevens before me.
Okay.
Who's a brilliant singer as well. John sang with In Excess after Michael Hutchins passed away.
Okay, I see.
And he had a band in Australia called Noiseworks. And, you know, so he had John, he had Richard and Dizzy from Guns N' Roses. Yeah. Marco Mendoza was actually in Thin Lizzy at the time. And then Brian Tishy, who, you know, obviously Brian's in demand. So he kind of looked at it and he said, well, let's go out. We'll have some fun. And, you know, I think he knew that at any time Richard and Dizzy could go back to GNR. John had things he could do. You know, so we called it a collective so it wouldn't mislead anybody. But ultimately, you know, we love the lineup that we have right now. You know, and hopefully this is something that continues onward and upward for the next 11 years. You know, we've been together in some version for 11 years. Hopefully we could do another 11.
Okay. I didn't see in the record company documentation, who's on drums? Is it Tishy or Clufetos?
It's Tommy Clufetos.
Wow.
He's been kind of, honestly, you know, the very first record I did with it's weird. Again, Brian's schedule. Yeah. Brian is such a great drummer that he's always got people asking him to do things. You know, I know Brian's played with, you know, Ozzy, Foreigner, Whitesnake, Billy Idol, Don Felder. I know there for a while, Steven Tyler and Joe Perry were doing some outside things from Aerosmith. Yeah. Brian played with them. So even the first record, when I showed up to the studio in Australia, I had already done Cuba with the band with Brian.
Yeah.
But then Brian's schedule, he couldn't do the first record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, Tommy came in and we did our first tour was with Kiss and Whitesnake. And our first one was with Kiss. Yeah. And Tommy Clufetos played with us then. Yeah. So Tommy's been in back and forth, you know what I mean, depending on who's available.
I mean, it's, you know, two great choices. Let's talk about the record for a second, shall we? There was 2 songs for my personal taste that stood out to me, and that's song number 5, Back to Zero, because I really like that the mood the song has.
Yeah, it was weird. That was actually the riff that's in the chorus. Was actually a riff that Doug had put into the Dropbox folder.
Okay.
And as soon as we all heard it, we're like, oh my God, this riff it's fucking awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we started jamming around and playing around with it. And, you know, lyrically, it's funny. My wife said the same thing. She goes, this is a little different than anything you guys have done before. She goes, and it's weird. It's not the music or the main vocal. It's the answer lines that come in. She goes, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Alice in Chains.
Yeah. It's got that.
And you know, but we were okay with it. We were like, you know what? We don't really go into the studio with a preconceived notion like, okay, the album has to sound like this, you know what I mean? Or in any certain direction. We just kind of jam the songs. If we like the songs, then it's like, okay, we like it. Let's develop it and see where it goes.
Yeah.
And that's just one of those songs that just came out great. And lyrically, it's really a very simple concept lyrically, but if you're married or you've had a long relationship, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But my wife and I use that term quite a bit with each other.
Okay, I see.
And it's like it's funny. I apologize that the answer is a little long.
No problem.
But when you get into a relationship in the beginning, it's fun. You know, you're doing a lot of fun things, and you're excited to see each other. The sex is there's a lot of sex, and it's always amazing. But then the longer you're in the relationship, life starts happening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, that's a good way to express it. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. I got to pay my bills. Oh my God, I'm late with my car payment or whatever. And it tends to affect the relationship. So I always try, like when I go on tour, I come home and I try to make some time. Like my wife and we have a motorhome or a caravan, as you guys call it over overseas. And we just say, you know what? Let's take some time. We'll do, like some people call it date night, whatever. Yeah. But we just take like a week, maybe 10 days, and we get in a motorhome and we'll go to Florida to visit her mom. And then we have some seafood and some drinks, and we just relax and just spend some time with each other. So some people say hit the reset button.
Yeah.
But we call it, let's go back to zero.
Yeah. That's right.
You know what I mean? So that's where that one came from.
And there's another song that stood out for me, song number 9, Love That'll Never Be, because it has a really strong Aerosmith flavor to it. The way you sing it there, it could be on an Aerosmith record. And with Aerosmith ending touring, it has really, you know.
It's funny, but that is actually a song when I was out of the Daisies.
Mm-hmm.
I had started working on a solo record.
Okay.
And I released a couple of tunes, but to be honest with you, I didn't really, I'm a little technology challenged.
Okay.
And I released a song called Così Bella, and I released another song called Your Own Worst Enemy. And it's the whole streaming thing, you know, like I'm like, I don't know how this works. You know what I mean? I'm doing it myself. I didn't have a record label behind me or a big machine. So I kind of said, you know what? I need to figure this out. So I kind of stopped putting music out.
Okay.
But Love That'll Never Be is a song that I had already written with Marty Fredrickson.
Oh, I see.
And it was recorded, but I didn't put it out.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
So I threw it in the Dropbox folder. And then when we started writing for this record, everybody that heard the song went, oh my God, this song is amazing. It's beautiful. The lyrics are awesome. And so what we did is we went and looked at it again. Marty, after hearing it again, he said, you know what? It's too polished. It sounded more like you know, somebody like Elton John or whatever. So he goes, we need to tear it apart, play it with the band. And we actually wound up taking some parts of the song out.
I see.
And condensing it. And it worked beautifully. Like, I think Doug did some amazing guitar work on it, some cool slide guitar. All the guys in the band just embraced it really well.
Yeah.
And I think it's a beautiful song. And it's just, I've had this happen again, where I've dated a few girls in my past and they were young or they weren't really sure about what they wanted in life.
Yeah.
And they thought they could maybe do better.
I see.
We split. They always say the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. So they thought the grass was greener. And then it was funny, like, not to sound weird, but quite a few of my ex-girlfriends, I ran into them later and they said, I made a mistake.
Okay.
You were like the one. You were the one. But it's too late because I've already moved on. I'm with somebody else. And
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a story about a girl that just realizes she made a huge mistake and she wishes she could go back, but she can't. So the song is called A Love That Will Never Be.
Great song, great record. Tell me, what's for you the biggest difference at the touring in Europe compared to touring in the States? What's the biggest difference for you, for crowd-wise, business-wise?
Well, both. To be honest with you, like, I love my country, but America's so fad influenced.
Yeah.
So these radio stations, you know how it works in America. There's like a company called Clear Channel.
Yeah.
And they put out a list of maybe 20 songs. And it's, I'm literally talking about they control probably 200 or 300 radio stations, 400 radio stations around America.
Yeah.
And they just say, play these 20 songs, nothing else.
Yeah.
So they have a tendency to, a band that somebody at the main office says, oh, these guys are great, we'll play them. Well, they wind up playing them, but then they burn them out. They get them to the point where it's like nobody oh my God, play something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they also tend to sweep a lot of bands like us, and not so much the Daisies, but like individually.
Yeah.
A lot of these bands that we all came from, they kind of sweep them under the rug. Like, okay, they're done. They had their moment. They're good. Where I feel that a lot of in Europe, the UK, South America, Japan, like pretty much everywhere else in the world, once you guys are into a band,
you
guys are really admire that band and support that band for life, which is how it used to be in America.
I am a big reader, and of course, this spring I read Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, and I have to say it's a great read. I really, really enjoyed it. It's so brutally honest. How's it for you, being the response and everything? I think it's been 2 years since it's out.
Yeah, it's been about a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
Everybody's, honestly, I have to credit Paul Miles, the guy that wrote the book with me, because I wasn't really sold on doing the book.
Okay.
But he brought it to my attention as a music fan. He also ran a website called Crucial Crew.
Okay.
And he just said, John, you've been one of these guys that goes out every time you do a record, you do a bunch of press, and then you disappear.
Yeah.
He goes,
okay.
There's not a lot of things that people know about you personally. And he says, I think you have more fans than you realize.
Yeah.
And I think they'd be interested in knowing what it is that made you the person that you are today. So I agreed, and we did the book, and honestly, the response has been amazing. And a lot of people have the same, and again, I just told my story. I just said, I don't want to hurt anybody from my past, but I was just being as honest as I could. And, but that's the same reaction I get from most people. They're like, oh my God, dude, what a It's a great autobiography, and it was so honest.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy that people enjoyed it. You know,
Yeah, I would.
it wasn't on any bestseller lists, but whatever.
It doesn't matter. It really has you can tell your co-writer. It has a really great flow. Something else. You're playing in Switzerland in November. You played in Switzerland a lot of time before. Have you your connection to Switzerland, or have you any special memories for gigs or people you met from Switzerland?
I love Switzerland. I have even when I do my acoustic shows, I have a very, very good friend of mine, a gentleman named Nicholas Costademus.
Okay.
And he's like my tour manager, travels with me when I do my acoustic shows. And he lives down in the Valais.
Valais, yes.
Valais region. So I love going down there, and we love the cheese, and we love all the wines. That's the big wine area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just love coming, and I've got a lot of friends there now. So I love coming to Switzerland and trying the foods and all the wines and seeing my friends. So I'm really looking forward to coming back again.
Yeah, great. It's gonna be soon. It's gonna be soon already. I lived in LA in the early '90s, and of course I was aware of a band called The Scream. And
yes.
The song "Man in the Moon," still to this day, when I have a student who wants to sing like bluesy hard rock, I said, check this song out. It is kind of the blueprint for me as for bluesy hard rock.
It's funny that song, I still play it in my acoustics sets.
Okay, great.
It's crazy. That song really kind of put me on the map.
Yeah.
And that was the song that the guys in Motley had heard and said,
see.
We love this guy's voice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very grateful to the guys in The Scream and a gentleman named Jamie Brown,
mm-hmm.
Who sang with a band called Roxanne. Because they had started writing that song prior to me even joining the band.
Yeah.
And then I just did some minor tweaks to it here and there, and but it's a great tune. I love it. It's bluesy. And I just loved it when I first heard it because it had that acoustic beginning, then it got heavy. So in some way, it kind of reminded me of something that maybe Led Zeppelin would do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And for me, it was, coming to LA in the early 90s, for me, that was that movement that every band, even bands like established metal bands like Crimson Glory, changed their sound into this bluesy hard rock, heavy metal. And that record, and especially that song, to me was the blueprint, for bands who followed that movement, which never came to Europe. And I think it was a short lived between the metal from the 80s and then of course, we all know then grunge hit in the 90s.
Yeah, and it was funny too because my first trip to outside of the country, we played a show at the Astoria Theatre in London.
Okay, I remember that place.
Yeah, we had done a bunch of press, and the Kerrang! Magazine was giving us great reviews, and Metal Hammer and all these crazy magazines all through Europe and the UK. And we went over and we wound up doing, it was insane, a completely sold out show. There was a ton more people outside. My biggest regret with that band is that we never did get to tour Europe and do a proper tour outside of the United States. But what a great time. What a great band. You know what I mean?
We got a couple of minutes left. One last thing I want to ask you. I mean, you've had it all. You had the ups and downs, the massive crowds, the small clubs, the records and everything. What advice would you give to a young starting musician?
I would just say, believe in yourself. Keep working at your craft. Don't take no for an answer. And if you're one of the lucky few that does get to the top of the hill, don't forget where you came from. And that's something I learned in Motley. After Vince came back, I learned a very hard lesson because my phone stopped ringing. There wasn't a lot of people that I could count on.
Wow.
And I realized right then and there, I had a few friends that were still with me and my family. So right now, it's just about enjoying life, enjoying the fact that you wake up every day. I still enjoy the fact that I get to play music, and I stopped worrying about things like how big my bank account is or driving in limousines and all that crazy shit. It's more about family and a few good friends and enjoying your life as it is.
That's a very, very great word to end this. Hey, John, thank you so much for your time, for Andy's Metal Journey on Rock Station. And I hope to see you on tour. I wish you all the best, safe travelings, and good luck with the record.
Thank you, my friend. Thanks for having me.
Very welcome, anytime. Hey, you take care and have a great day.
You too, buddy. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Tschüss.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Andy's Metal Journey. On Rock Station.